It's gone sideways.
Oh, Jay, thanks for coming in.
It's all right.
Also known as the melanoma man.
Yeah, I know. It's not a name that I sort of thought I would be, having for my life, but yeah, it is.
It's like some kind of Marvel superhero alternate universe name.
Yeah.
Look out for melanoma man.
Yeah. Oh, look, I was diagnosed with melanoma in 2008, and it was on a Channel 9 TV show called RPA. I'm not sure if you remember that show, but and people would come up to me in the street and say, "Hey, you're the melanoma guy. You're the melanoma man."
Yeah.
And then I'd be like talk to them and stuff, and then I had a mate that said, "Mate, you should call yourself the melanoma man," and started a Facebook page, and it's just going really well. Got like a lot of following on that and supporting people across the world, so that's the most important thing.
So that was in 2008 that this all happened.
Yeah.
Tell us. Let's go back to that. So, what was your life like in 2008 before the diagnosis?
Yeah, look, I was 32. I was a truck driver.
Yep.
Working 7 days a week. Had 2 jobs. I'd work for Toll during the week, and then I'd do Tip Top delivering bread on the weekends.
You're busting your ass.
Yeah, I was working, trying to just bought my first house, and I was doing it up, renovating and stuff. And yeah, I had this mole on my left ankle, kept scabbing up and getting itchy. And Janine,
were you married at that point? Kids?
Had two children at that stage, Jaden and Shaylee, and they were pretty much around 13.
Yep.
10. Yeah, and then.
And where were you living at that point?
I was living at Ambervale in Campbelltown. Grew up in Campbelltown.
Yep.
In Aids. Went to John Morby Primary School, Aids High School, and this mole on my left ankle kept scabbing up and bleeding. And I'd go to work, and I'd finish my Monday to Friday job. Long hours, doing 60 hours a week for that, and then I'd go into, another 22, 24 hours on the weekends for Tip Top. So then I'd say 1 o'clock in the morning, you're loading your truck, and I just feel a bit off. This is the last 6 months of 2007. And I'd look at this mole on my left ankle, and it's bleeding, scabbing up. Anyway, I knew something was wrong.
Was it causing you pain?
A little bit of pain. It's like a blister, that just sort of that sort of pain, tingling pain.
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, I knew something was up. I just wasn't feeling right. And anyway, so my wife kept saying, well, she was my fiance at the time, Janine, you should go and get it checked. Go to the doctor and get it checked. And I'm like, well, it's fine. I'm sure it's just a blister from my work boots. But anyway, I'd keep going to work, and then sometimes I'd take my socks off at the end of the day, and there'd be blood on my socks. And I'd be like, far out, this is not a blister, it's not healing. So at the end of 2007, my wife said, look, you should go and get it checked because it's not healing.
How long was that period that you between when you first realised it and when you were saying I should go get it checked?
6 months.
Yeah, that's a very kind of Aussie blokey mentality. Isn't it? Like, she'll be right.
It is,
right?
It is. Yeah,
but that's a long time to be dealing with that. Right?
You don't want to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
If you're a bloke, you sort of, I'll be right.
Yeah,
you just take a headache tablet or Panadol or something.
Even if you've got the longest running blister in history, right? It sounds like.
I know. You look at it like that. Anyway, at the end of 2007, I thought I should go and get it checked. And the other reason was my wife, well, Janine, she's always right. So I thought I should listen and go and get it checked. And I did. GP took one look at it and he cut it out straight away. And he said it a couple of days later, it come back as a melanoma. It was 1.95 millimetres deep. And for those that aren't aware, melanoma only needs to get to a millimetre deep before little cells can get into lymphatic or your blood system and can spread through your body. So then sent me to have some more tests in Sydney, and they felt around my body, feeling for lymph nodes and all that. This is all new to me. I'm 32.
Yeah.
You got tattoos. I'm young, thinking I'm invincible. But here I am sitting, in front of a doctor, and he's feeling around for lymph nodes, and he didn't feel any swollen lymph nodes, so he put me in for operation. I had a couple of operations and found out it spread to the lymph nodes in my groin. So I was lucky I went and got it checked, and I did. And
so what did they say to you then?
Well, you got stage 3 melanoma. There's 4 stages.
Yeah.
Well, there's 5 stages actually. There's naught, melanoma in situ. That's where you've got it on time.
Yep.
Hasn't gone to the next layers of your skin. And then stage 1 and 2 is pretty much where it has sort of gone to the next layers. And then they've cut it just on time. You got it just on time. And stage 3 and 4 is where it's gone to the lymph nodes. And stage 4 is where it's gone to distant sites, your organs, or somewhere else in your body. So it's pretty serious stuff.
And by the time you get to stage 4, like it
used to be terminal, but these days they've got immunotherapy treatments now where It works for 50% of patients. So patients could have advanced melanoma tumours throughout their body, and these treatments, they're targeted. They just work for some people, and some people they don't. So it's just like the treatments come through your body and they just zap your tumours. But for some people, these treatments zap the tumours, but they just don't do anything. They don't respond, and we just got to try and keep funding research so we can find that treatment where everyone responds to these treatments.
Yep. So you were told stage 3, you're 32, and they're saying to you that there's treatments available. Did they tell you that you were a goner? What do they tell you?
I had a 50% chance of survival, and they said it could come back in your liver, lungs, or brain. It was pretty serious to sit there and get that stuff taken in.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel when you get told that?
I was
news?
a mess. I mean, it's good. I can talk about it now, but for a long time I couldn't talk about it without getting upset and stuff. And then,
did you have any kind of experiences of denial, or was it hard to accept hearing that news?
Yeah, I just remember driving home the day they told me that it spread before I had the operation, and I was looking out the window, just thinking, why can't I be that person, just going about the daily routine? What's going on? Why is this happening to me? But then we got home, we all sat around, and all my family come down, and we told them that, and it was pretty serious for a while. For a good month there, you're going for scans, your whole body, and you're looking, to see if there's any tumours in your brain, your liver or lungs. I mean, here you are 32, and you're going under this big machine, you're laying under it, and they're injecting you with this dye stuff, and they're checking to see if there's any tumours in your body. And you can come out of that scan, and your whole world can be just turned upside down. You could die. But I went for scans and blood tests every 3 months for 5 years to make sure I was all right. And every one of those scans, I'd have the scan, the chest X-ray, and then I'd always run around and watch the radiographer look at the screen to see if he can, just watch his response.
Yeah, shit. Because I the radiographers they can't tell you anything, right?
No, they don't.
But
you read there.
They still know, right?
They know.
Yeah.
And they know. And every time they'd come back, all right, put your shirt on, away you go, And I know this for some people that, I knew if he'd come back and go, all right, well, we've got to do a few more tests. I'm like, all right, I'm in trouble here. But thankfully for me, they never did that.
Did that affect your outlook on life at all when you were told that there was a 50% chance that you were going to die?
Yeah, I just threw my truck driving job in. And what I used to do when I was in my 20s, I used to use indoor tanning as well. I'd go to the gym, and I was single, and you want to look good and try and pick up the girls on the weekend. So I'd use the tanning machines, and my doctor was adamant that contributed to my disease. So I started a campaign, sunbedban.com, to try and ban them across Australia, and it just completely changed my life. And we just got marquees and shirts, branding, and we went out to the beaches, had petitions, and I just advocated for that for a good 4 or 5 years, and we did it. Yeah, it was great.
I find that really interesting, that piece, because I wanted to ask you about that. What's the difference between why was it important to you that it be outlawed, that it be banned, rather than there just being greater education around it, or even making it a rule that the people that ran these businesses have to tell you when you come in, this is a huge greater chance that you're going to get melanoma? Yeah,
well, that was the rules, but they weren't doing it. Some were doing it, but there was a lot that weren't. They're flouting the laws, the regulations. Everyone was supposed to sign like a waiver to say, if I use this machine, I could get skin cancer, and there should have been education materials around, but
it wasn't happening.
No, there wasn't. I wasn't never told at all.
Yeah.
So we did a survey with a number of through the Greens. I went and did work experience with the Greens, and then I wrote to them and found out how to approach media, how to get marketing things going, and we did a survey, and we sent it out to all these solarium operators, and it was like 15% came back that they
educate or provide the
were educating and doing the right thing, and this was through the Sydney Morning Herald as well.
Yeah,
and then they were flouting the laws, so we just took that to the government. And
I mean, I know people that are still flouting the laws, right? Like I know there's plenty of girls that have these kind of networks of secret underground operations of these that are still going on, right?
Yeah, I hear it all the time.
And instead of paying to use a sunbed, they say, like, how long do you want to use? Oh, got to buy a bottle of water. It's $20 for the bottle of water or something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
And so, it seems like there's still people doing them just in these secret.
There is. I mean, people young, they think they're good. They're invincible. You know, they
Yep.
want to get a tan and they want to go and use these underground solariums. But the thing is, they could end up with melanoma.
Yep.
And that's what my key and my driving force was, to try and ban the commercial solariums, because people can die. I could have died as well. I didn't know. I used them a lot, and I never got educated once.
Yep.
I even remember using it in the last 6 months before I had the mole cut out. I looked at my ankle and I thought, all right, that blister's not healing, right? And I'd still use a solarium. And it was like, when you go in and use a solarium, there's a 75% increased risk of you developing melanoma.
That's crazy.
Right. If you're under 35, under 40, right? I don't know what the stats are these days, but that's what they were back then.
How often were you using them?
I was using them all the time, probably 3 to 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a good 12-month period there.
Holy shit.
I mean, had I not used them, I might not have got melanoma.
Mm.
But maybe it was meant to be. Put me on this path to educate and save lives.
So what was the treatment for you when you got the diagnosis? For what was the?
I had an immunotherapy form of immunotherapy treatment called interferon, and I had that 3 weeks, every day for 3 weeks.
Is that a medicine? Is it-
Intravenously.
Okay.
I was given it 20 minutes a day.
Yep.
And that was sort of like a mop-up treatment. So if any cells did get away, it was going to mop them up and get rid of them. Studies have since, they don't use that treatment anymore, because studies have been shown that it doesn't work, but I believe that it does work.
But it worked on you?
It worked on me. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Whether it's that treatment or my doctor taking the lymph nodes out, you know, when he did. Some people get a melanoma and they'll just monitor your lymph nodes. They might tattoo them and they'll just monitor those lymph nodes, you know, for a 5-year period. And a lot of the times those lymph nodes might swell up and then they'll go in and cut them out. But then had they not taken the lymph nodes out at the start, 3 or 4 to test them, you know, they might have got it a lot earlier. So my doctor certainly saved my life. So I really believe it was a mixture. My doctor saved my life and also the treatment.
What does it mean to take lymph nodes out?
So the lymph nodes, so when you got hundreds of lymph nodes all through your body, right?
Yep.
They keep you alive. They get rid of infections. You know, when you get the flu and you get the lymph nodes, little nodes that swell up in your neck, glands. Well, you got hundreds of those things all around your body. And they're like a catcher's mitt. And when cancer spreads, those little cells go to these catcher's mitts. They catch them, they contain them. With the flu, they'll get rid of the infection. They'll go back down to normal size. But with cancer, they just keep growing and growing and getting big. And that's when people discover a lump under their arm or something like that. And they think, far out, what is that? And they go and get it tested.
Yeah.
And it's a cancer. So these lymph nodes keep you strong and healthy. You wouldn't survive without them. So having my lymph nodes out of my left groin, my leg swells up a little bit now because it's called lymphedema.
Yeah.
So because they contain the fluid in your leg. So now that I don't have them, the fluid sort of just sits around my leg. And that's why I do all these walking, fundraising events. And then I started walking for that reason, because it gets rid of the swollen leg.
Did you experience any kind of sickness or pain during the treatments?
Probably nerve pain and all that. I still get it today. Like just you might get sharp little shots of pain in your leg, but nothing too major. I mean, I felt, well, all right, my leg's swelling up. I'm still here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that aren't. So you sort of need to adapt to that, to life, and make the most of it.
So what are some of those fundraising ventures that you've done? So you're talking about walking?
Yeah, I've done, together with a great community.
Yeah.
I walked, 2014, I walked Sydney to Melbourne. My mate, Andrew Rust, and I, we walked 900 kilometres in 16 days. We raised 160,000 for melanoma research.
Wow.
And then in 17, I walked from Brisbane to Sydney, 29 days, 1,200 kilometres. We raised 250,000.
How do you plot out a journey like that?
It's unreal. And then 19, I did the Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, 2,000 Ks in 50 days. We raised $750,000. And just a few weeks ago, we finished another walk. We walked from Canberra to Sydney, 333 Ks in 10 days. There was 6 of us walking, and we raised $200,000. So what you do is you just plan the walks. So we're already planning another one for this year.
Yeah.
And you just document it out on Google Docs, and then you got to go and do a road trip. Do the road trip and mark out, stopping points, lunches each day. And
I was
like
going to say, where do you sleep, eat, shit? Like,
yeah, well,
you got to plan those out, right?
Yeah, you do. Well, you start daylight. You can only walk in daylight because the police. You got to go get approval for the police as well. New South Wales Transport Association, and so you start in the morning when it's daylight, and you finish around 5:30 in the afternoon. But you have breaks every 6-7 k's. You have support vehicles.
Yep.
We've got Toyota that sponsor us, so they give us support vehicles. We have 3 or 4 cars.
That's cool.
One in front, one at the back, and then one running around for lunches. We set up trestle tables under a shady marquee, under a tree. You got to, on the recent walk we just did, we had a lady called Karen Maguire. She came along and she was looking after all the food for the whole 10 days. Beautiful lady, and she lost her dad, Lionel, to melanoma. They come from Dubbo. So, and then you got then you put so you document the walk, and you put a whole committee together, and you have meetings and you sort of work out accommodation. So you might get billeted out. So we had a crew of 17 people. That was 6 walkers, and then 11 road crew. So you got to find accommodation for the 10 days for all those people. And billeting's great because you stay with different families in different towns, and you meet different. That's them. One family that knows about it. They tell all their networks.
And is it typically these people are all people that have been touched by cancer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everyone on board has been affected by melanoma, which is it's the most common cancer between 15 and 39-year-olds in Australia.
It's amazing you've got all this network of people, that come together because they've been touched by this horrible disease.
Yeah, it is. I got my best mate, James Economides. He lost his son, Michael, just 20 years old, to melanoma in 2009. And
it's horrible.
We've been best mates ever since. I mean, he's a top bloke. He's a successful real estate agent. And, we just come together and we just on the phone weekly talking about different things in life and whether this will work. I run all my ideas by James. So, mate, that won't work. Don't do that. Walking across America, walking across the UK.
It's good to have someone like that, right? When
you've got to have good people in your corner.
When you can be too close to an idea sometimes. It's good to have a soundboard.
So you've got to have your people, right?
Yeah.
I used to be really good friends with Stephanie Rice, still mates with her. I used to hang around with her, and she said, you count your closest friends, networks on the palm of your hand. You don't need any more hangers on than that. And don't waste your time with people that don't care about you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it sounds like with these ideas, it starts with a small idea. I want to do a walk and do fundraising. Yeah. And then by the time you actually execute it, like it's bigger than Ben-Hur, right?
Oh, it is. It's a big machine. You've got your committee, then you've got to get the PR. So you've got to get the media as well, the social media. You've got to just let it all flow. And then people are tired. They're walking every day. You've got to do the washing, the food. It's just
washing. I wouldn't even thought about that. You got to do laundry on the walk,
and then the clothing. So people sign up and they have their own fundraising pages, but you've got to get all their gear for them. So, walking shirts, long sleeve shirts. Got to be follow the 5 sun-safe rules. Broad brim hats, and it's a big process, but it's also a learning one as well. So you just keep learning from each event and just make it better next time. But you've got all these passionate people that want to continue to help you.
Well, you must be a seasoned pro at them now.
I'm still learning. There's a few things that I can do better for the next one. But I think if you can't learn and feel that if you can't learn in life and take advice from people, that you should take advice from people and make yourself better each time.
So when you got the diagnosis back in 2008, you said that's when you left your trucking job.
Yeah.
And you were working, crazy hours, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
So then what did you move to? What was the first
I had income protection, so I had that for about 12 months. Mentally, I wasn't right as well. I was just thinking I want to do the band sunbeds, but I'm shit scared as well. This disease is going to come back. So I tried to go back and do truck driving. I did it for a good month, and I'm just like, this is not for me anymore. I got a different mindset because when you're a truck driver, you're pretty much your own boss, right? You're sitting in the truck by yourself pretty much, 9-10 hours a day, other than you're loading in the morning, the dock, you come back in the afternoon, you're unloading. So you're alone a lot of that time. And I was just in the truck thinking, what if this disease comes back? I'm not going to sit in this truck all day for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to give back. And ended up volunteering, going to visit patients in hospital that had melanoma. And then ended up getting a job in the melanoma field. And I worked there for 9 years.
So what was that job?
So that was my community manager role. I worked there and learnt my trade there. I had enough at the end of the day, and then I wanted to get out of there, and had some good people around me that said, well, why don't you start your own charity and I'll back you. And I did that, and it's going really good. I've got a board that believe in me. Everyone's been affected by melanoma. So everyone that works for our charity, the rule is you've had to have been affected by some type of skin cancer or melanoma or cancer, because people that have been affected by that, they get it. They know what needs to be done, and they're passionate. You know, they're not going to bully you. They're not going to harass.
And as you were saying before, it's not just a job to them, right? There's a purpose behind it.
100%. You know, these people have lost loved ones. It's all they've got left. So they're giving their all for the charity. I mean, I love it. I love being friends with people like that. But the thing is about it is it gets sad. You lose mates to melanoma. I've lost about 70 mates over the years that I've become friends with. And it's hard. It's tough.
I mean, given what you've chosen to do with your life, right? You're often surrounded by people that are either touched by melanoma or currently living with it, right?
Yeah.
So it means that you're going to have a higher probability of that happen. That's very hard and painful.
It is. It's very painful. I mean, just over the last couple of months, we've lost some really good friends I've known for like 5-6 years, you know. And they're not here anymore. I've got to keep going. People say, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, well, if I'm not doing what I do, talking to these people, who are they going to be talking to? They're going to be sitting at home lonely, probably on Google, you know, and trying to find a support network. So I feel that I can be that need.
Do you ever just pause and reflect for a moment and look at like the dude you were when you were just a truck driver, and then suddenly your whole life just you got hit by a truck, right?
Yeah.
Right? When you got this melanoma diagnosis, and then it has given your life this purpose that you never had imagined in the first place.
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, when I was a truck driver, I get up and talk in front of people now, and there's no way I could do that. I'd just be so nervous, and I was like that when I first started talking in public. I just got nervous and sweaty hands, and I'd stumble and stutter, but I feel that everything, you know, they say everything happens for a reason, even though the murders in the world and some of the things that happen, there's no reason for that. But there must be something. Too many things have happened in my life where, wow, I've just had help to make that happen.
Yeah.
So many things happen, and I really believe that all my friends that have passed away are helping me, guiding me in life to achieve the greatest thing, to find a cure and educate so lives can be saved.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I don't know if there's a God up there, but there must be some. When you die, your body, your spirit must stay along and help. There's just been too many things that have happened, and I really believe in that.
Do you feel more fulfilled with your life now doing this than what you ever did before when you were driving trucks? Because I now doing comedy and recording this podcast, I feel like for the first time in my entire life that I live with a purpose, a sense of purpose, and it's just given me such greater satisfaction with my life.
Yeah,
and that's just seems to be oozing out of you. That seems to be everything you're saying. Seems to be a man who's living with purpose.
Yeah, it is. I do wake up every day and I think, right, what can I do today?
Yeah.
And I've got a good board that I talk to them about, and they say like, Jay, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
What are some of the bad ideas?
I want to do a walk across America.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got people over there. I know people across the world. I've just learned they're all melanoma people have been affected by it, and I want to do this great walk, and we're just not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but it can be like about a 44-day walk, and it'll be huge.
Yeah.
People can participate in it, but I've got people that keep me grounded. You know, I've got our board. You know, I've got a lady, Ash, that she emails me every day. Says, all right, you got to do this today, and then I'll just go through and I'll do that. I run things by her. She's a great business leader, and she lost her mum to melanoma. I've got Eve. She's our chairman, so she's an ex-lawyer. You know, and she's just got Sally from Dubbo on our board. She lost her dad to melanoma. I've got Dave Kelly. He's another guy that's been in the film industry for 30 years. So I've got good people around me, and James, as I mentioned earlier, that I can run things by, and they believe in what I'm about as well. And it just works really, really well. But yeah, I don't sort of think about how my life's changed. I sort of probably don't have time to sit and think, and well, I used to do that and do this. I just think, as I mentioned earlier, everything's meant to be, and you just got to make the most of it because you never know what's around the corner.
I saw on your website, is it you're a father of 6? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Obviously, melanoma didn't affect your fertility.
I was a little bit worried because when I had the operation, he did mention, that could happen.
Yeah.
Like, and it obviously hasn't. So,
Mm.
I just got to no more kids. That's it.
You sure about that, mate?
No, I've had enough. My wife needs a break.
Yeah.
You know, our youngest ones, Josie and Josie's 2 and Chloe's 4.
Wow.
They're beautiful, and that's what.
But I mean, obviously,
know,
between your professional life and your personal life, you're a very busy man.
Yeah, I mean that's just meant to be, I suppose.
Mm.
It's happened. You can't change that.
Mm.
But my wife just needs a break, and we need a break. Just at 8:30 at night, you want to relax and chill. You know, you can't do that with obviously kids. So, yeah, I know it's beautiful. I'm not complaining. I love my life. I love everything about it, and I wouldn't change a thing. But there's no more kids. That's it.
So I saw also on your website that you had another battle with cancer. Was it last year? Yeah. Tell me about that.
Oh, it was the most horrendous treatment. I could. What was it? Early February 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this lump pop up in my neck, and it was like, you know, when you go to shave and you got like, I'm like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Feel it. I was thinking the melanoma's back anyway. I left it and went and got it re-scanned and stuff, and had a fine little biopsy. And I was diagnosed with a squamous cell. It was a type of skin cancer. I had a tumour in my right tonsil, and yeah, it was horrific. The treatment was terrible.
So what was a type of skin cancer?
Yeah, it was a squamous cell carcinoma. So there's a few different types of skin cancer. There's squamous cell carcinomas, there's basal cell carcinomas, and there's melanoma, which is the most aggressive one. But basal cell carcinomas, they're non-melanoma skin cancers, and squamous cell carcinoma, they can damage you and kill you as well. So,
is it a massive tumour? Is that what it is?
It was a tumour the size of a strawberry. It was on my tonsil.
Yeah. Wow.
And I used to go to the dentist every 6 months because of COVID. I couldn't go. So because the dentist would have picked it up.
Yeah.
They say that this particular cancer, it was horrific. I had 35 rounds of head and neck radiation and 2 lots of chemo. Yeah, far out. It was horrific. I lost 14 kilos.
Yeah. So you found that treatment much harder than the stuff you had for
100%.
melanoma?
Yeah, it just really knocked me.
Yeah.
It was tough. I couldn't
mean,
even eat. Had ulcers all through my mouth, and yeah.
I mean, you must have been so frustrated as well, having already battled melanoma, right? And then you're like, fuck, I got another one.
Yeah, I was just out of the blue.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what have I done to get this? It was pretty tough. I don't know why I was done with that. Maybe to help raise awareness of that particular cancer, head and neck cancer. But Johnny Farnham's just been diagnosed with the same particular type as well.
Okay.
And he's actually gotten away into his jaw. So my particular tumour, it actually spread onto my soft palate and it was heading towards my voice box.
Yeah.
So I was fit. I've always sort of trained. I was running 10 kilometres each day then. Every couple of days, and I'd walk 10Ks. So I was really fit. And they reckon that's what saved my life, being fit, because the lymph node popped up.
Yeah.
So the lymph node detected a tumour growing, and the cells went straight to the lymph node, as I mentioned earlier, like the catcher's mitt, and it saved my life. Had I been unfit, the lymph node could have kept swelling and swelling, and the tumour would have kept growing into my jaw and then down into my lungs, and it would have killed me.
Yeah, fuck.
So I found it just at the right time.
And so you had the choice between either surgery or doing chemo?
Well, they offered me surgery, but they said, look, we know what you do for a job.
Yeah.
You need your voice.
Yeah.
So he goes, I can operate, but you might lose your voice. He goes, so why don't we try radiation and chemo? It does the same thing with less side effects, because they would have cut me open all down my neck and took all the lymph nodes out.
I mean, why would you choose the surgery in those points? It seems like a last resort.
Yeah, I know. We said, because you found it nice and early, there's another option for you.
Yeah.
You know, you can do this. And I'm like, well, let's go that option. He goes, but it's going to be tough. And I'm like, oh, well, if it's going to save my life, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have affected your outlook a bit? Were you...
Oh.
How did you feel? Poor bastard.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. I try not to think about it because it was that horrendous.
Yeah.
It brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just certainly changed my outlook on life even more to think, just live for today. If you want to get that car, go and buy it. So I bought a Ram 1500 Warlock 2. I'm like, you know what? Life's too short. I'm going to get my dream car, and I love it. You want to go on that holiday, go and do it. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring the best out in you. Don't be around negative people. There's no time for it. Don't work for someone that's negative, or if someone's backing you into a corner right now and you're at work and you're struggling but you're on a good wage and there's no, you feel there's no other options, take the gamble. Talk to a few, 3 or 4 of your best mates that believe in you, and ask them about the idea and ask them if they'll back you, and just do it. Take a gamble, take a risk, because life's too short. You're only alive once that we know of. You're certainly possibly dead for a long time, right? Take that gamble, because I did, and I've never looked back now. I've got this charity and it's going great. And I knew when I was going through treatment, I got the charity to do. We started it and then I got diagnosed, and then now we're continuing with it. And I've got great people that believe in me, and it's a great team effort, and I'm just going to keep powering on. But don't go to work every day. Don't live your life with regret.
I talk about this a lot on this podcast, but just my take is that most people in life don't really appreciate the small things and savor what they've got until they hit a crisis point when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is a shame, but that's the reality. That was the reality for me. It sounds like it probably was a reality for you. Do you have any idea how can people get to that point of valuing all those things without having to go through the shit?
I think, maybe listen to podcasts, listen to people that have been through things in life, and just listen to what they're saying, because it's true. It's the truth, you just can't stay in a shit situation. You can't live in a shit situation. If it's not good, just fix it and get on with it. And get checks, get skin checks. Make sure you get skin checks at least once every 12 months. And if something's not right, go and look at it, get it fixed, because it's not worth it.
I've never had a skin check. Do you just go to a GP?
You go to a GP, or you can go to a skin cancer doctor, who are really good. So I go to Dr. Charles Iessa, with the SunSense clinics over at Castle Hill and up at Warringah Hospital, and they just check your body over and with a dermoscope, and those skin checks will take any less than 10, 15 minutes, and just strip down to your jocks, mate, and they just check your body, your whole body all over. Yep. And everyone should be doing that. Everyone, especially your kids as well. They're playing at recess and lunch in the sun, and what it is, your moles and freckles on your skin, they actually cook from the UV, and that's how, skin cancers develop. So same way you put a chicken in the oven, it cooks, and the same way your skin cooks outside in the harsh UV. Except your skin's not going to cook as instant like a chicken in an oven. It could take 5-10 years for a melanoma to develop. Yep. So half the time, all these people that you said, that even the people that are using underground solariums, and they might think it's fun now using a solarium, but when they settle down, have a family, they've bought a house, they're in their 30s, 40s, that's when melanoma could strike. And that's what I hear all the time. And all the people that get it say, I wish I'd never tanned when I was younger, because it's not worth it. It's just really not worth it. I hear it all the time. But the thing that I hear all the time as well, and I want to get out today, is if you're genuinely concerned about a mole or freckle on your body somewhere, and you go to a GP or we recommend you go to a GP, get a referral to see a dermatologist, or go and see a skin cancer doctor. If you're going to one of those people and you're saying, look, I'm concerned about this mole or freckle, I've been watching it, can you take it out? And the professional says, look, we'll just keep an eye on it for another couple of months, and then you keep going back and they're saying the same thing. Just say, look, I'll just rather you just cut it out. Just tell them to cut it out. So I read a story yesterday on one of the support forums I'm on, and a lady said she'd been going to the same doctor for 6 months, dermatologist, and they're looking at it and they said, look, we're not going to cut it out. We're going to keep an eye on it. And then she goes to another doctor and they cut it out, and it's a melanoma, stage 2. So had they cut it out when she first raised it, 6 to 8 months prior, she wouldn't have had melanoma. And now she's spewing at the system, because these dermatologists, they're human as well. They can make mistakes.
Yeah, why would a dermatologist why would they be so blasé about it, right?
Yeah, I know. I genuinely do hear it all the time. At the end of the day, they're humans as well. I don't want to put shit on those guys, but yeah, I guess they can make mistakes too, you know.
But it sounds like an instance where they should err on the side of caution, and they're just going, "Oh yeah, it should be sweet. Come back."
Oh yeah, dermatologists they're pretty professional, so they will say, "Look, yeah, you know, I like the look of that. Just let's just keep an eye on it." You know, and sometimes they do keep an eye on it, and they don't turn into melanomas. But so many stories have come out where the one I just told exactly it turned into a melanoma, and they could have got it cut out, you know, a lot earlier.
Do you think? I mean, obviously, with all the awareness activity you do, it obviously resonates with anyone who has been touched by melanoma. But do you feel that when you're speaking to people that you're getting through when they're young and they just want to go out and get a tan and they think, oh, it's not going to happen to me?
Yeah, all the time.
How do you communicate? How do you get through to those people?
Sometimes you can't. It's so hard to get the message out. It's like just talking to the brick wall.
Because I look at Bondi and it's like a hot day and it's like just the
thousands of people scorch themselves in the sun.
Yeah.
You just want to go up and tap everyone on the shoulder and tell them your story.
Yeah.
I think education is key. You just got to keep at it and going into the schools but bringing, you know, recently we went to McKellar Girls High in Manly and my friend Hayley Burke, who sadly passed away on the 21st December. She's only 37, beautiful lady. I'd known her for 6 years. We took Hayley and her sister Renee to this particular school and we spoke to all these students, 250 of them. And at the end of it, Hayley had been told literally 24 hours before this, she's got days, weeks left to live of melanoma. She's such a tough human. I'll never, ever forget her selfless and courageous attitude. She spoke in front of that school that day along with her sister Renee and she said, look, don't tan. I used to tan. You know, don't do it. Get a skin check. And at the end of the talk, 250 of the girls came up and gave Hayley and her sister a cuddle. Wow. And they were in tears.
It's so moving.
I mean, I've never ever witnessed anything like that. Yeah, I reckon that bringing people in that have been affected by melanoma and talking like myself, when I talk to the students, I've got a bit of the RPA footage and I play that to the people and it's sort of, you can see them asking questions and watching them. And what I do at the start of the talks, we go in and we did it that day with Hayley. We asked who tans. And 99% of the students put their hand up and said, we go and tan on the weekend.
Yeah.
We asked the same question at the end of the talk and not one hand went up and there was tears and everything. I think, you know, education is key and we just got to get into the schools. That's where it starts, right? Young and educate our future generations. But, you know, having survivors share their stories and sadly, Hayley, we're gonna do something around Hayley Burke with the Hayley Burke education. You know, we promised her we're going to do that. So there's more to come with the Australian Skin Cancer Foundation.
I think with those kind of things you're saying, everyone put their hand up and then by the end only one. It's interesting. I mean, that reminds me of walking around the yard at Long Bay saying, fuck, this is shit. There's no way I'm coming back here. And I had a mate say to me, yeah, but you forget, right? That you forget how shit jail is. And so many guys go back to jail a second, third, fourth time. Oh, yeah. And so when I'm hearing that, I think... Yeah, only one put their hand up, but like how long does that stick with them, you know, until they forget the message? Yeah,
I did say that. I said, so when you, and I say this in my talks, when you're out in the sun, or you see your dad mowing the lawn with his shirt off, go out to him and say, hey, Dad, remember I had Jay come to my school and told me about the sun safe rules and all that. You know, you got to put your shirt on and put a hat on or put sunscreen on. Or if you're out there and you're getting burnt, think back to this time. Jay told me to be sun safe because I could get melanoma. I just try and resonate with him. With little things like that. And I tell the story as well when I go back to when I was in high school. There was a guy that came to my school. He's in a wheelchair. He was in a car accident. He lost his legs. That story, I still remember every word that he said. He stuck out to me because, yeah, he was a real story. And on the stage, he had no legs. And he was like 25 years old. He was in a bad car accident and he was drink driving. And now he's educating out there. What a legend. But that story stuck with me and I tell that story and I'm like, I want my story to stick with you for the rest of your life. Like that did with me.
You seem like such a natural speaker now. It's hard to kind of mess us up when you're saying you were like a shy, you know, reserved truck driver that wouldn't be able to do public speaking. Yeah. Like it's crazy that you felt like you were just driven by such a purpose. So you had to get past that fear of public speaking and just overcome it to be able to do this.
Yeah, I did. For anyone else out there that wants to get up and follow their passion, I started doing a lot of Rotary and Lions Clubs talks.
Yeah.
You know how they work?
No.
You sort of go there and it's like retired successful business people. They come together and there's like 12, 15 members and they sit around They have dinner and they have guest speakers.
Mm.
And you just talk to all these people. And I started sort of like an apprenticeship through there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was just a way to ease your way into it by talking to small groups, and then slowly the groups got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly. And then doing school talks and stuff like that. And now I'm just like, what I do is I pick 4 people in the room. I pick, 2 over that side, 1 in the middle, and 2 over there. And I'll just talk to those people and just through the whole talk. And it's just like, as you said earlier, don't worry about the cameras or anything else around. Just get your message out. And I've sort of learned along the way as well, like Chris O'Brien, the guy that died, Chris O'Brien, the Lifehouse Cancer Centre.
Yep.
So I got to know his daughter Juliet, a beautiful lady, really well. And she told me that her dad did so many live interviews. If you've got your message, because I've done a lot of live morning show interviews as well, Today Show, Sunrise and stuff like that.
Yep.
But when you're getting your message out there, you might have 30, they might ask you a question. You got to go back with what you want to say to them in your answer and entangle their question into that.
Right, so ticking off your key messages, right?
Exactly, because you only get one opportunity, right?
That's right.
There was one story with the sunbed stuff I did, and I learned from that massively. There's another story, I'll tell you. There was a community cabinet meeting with the new politicians that come in at Campbelltown. The New South Wales government come in, Barry O'Farrell. Anyway, there was a community cabinet meeting held at Campbelltown, West Leagues Club. So I took these 2 chickens. I had a raw chicken and I had a cooked chicken, right? And I wanted to demonstrate.
Smells of PR stunt. Yeah.
I wanted to demonstrate what a solarium does to young skin.
Mm.
So anyway, I went to this community cabinet meeting and I'm walking in and I've got this bag. I cooked the chicken, burnt chicken, and the raw chicken in the bag. I walked in, everyone's looking at me going, what the hell? Anyway, so I sat in this room and this guy's asking questions to everyone in the audience. And there was one question left, and I'm sitting there with these chickens. I'm thinking, I brought these chickens along, and this guy doesn't ask me to I get a chance to talk.
I have to speak, or otherwise I'm just a weird dude with the chickens.
100%. So the guy is putting his hand up. Who wants? And I went, please pick me. 100% true. And he picked me. He goes, you, the guy up the back. So I stood up, and I had these chickens, and I held up the raw one. I said, look, let's just say this is someone's skin, fresh out of school. This is what they look like, 18, 19. And I held up this burnt one as oil dripping down my arm. This is what their skin looks like after using an indoor tanning machine. That they're going to potentially kill themselves. They're going to get melanoma. Anyway, Julian O'Farrell. Was it Julian O'Farrell? My memory's terrible now from the chemo last year. But
Barry O'Farrell?
Oh, Barry O'Farrell. Gillian Skinner.
Yep.
She was the health minister at the time. And she got someone to run over to me. And the media came over, took photos of me. We were standing up these chickens. And it was in the Telegraph the next day. But the most important thing out of that night was Julian Skinner got her advisor to come over. She goes, look, Julian loved that. She wants to see you. And that's how things escalated and we got sunbeds banned in New South Wales. But I took these 2 chickens onto the Sunrise set, right? And I sat down, I did the interview, and I had them next to me, and I was going to do the same stunt at the end of it, but I completely forgot about it. I'm like, and I was up till midnight the night before. I had to be in the studio at like 6 a.m. the next morning. I'm like, you're kidding.
And you had the chickens right there.
Right there. It was across Australia,
And it's such
I learned from that.
And it's such a compelling visual, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed I never used them. I threw them in the bin as I walked out of Sunrise. I'm like, damn. Anyway, I learned.
It's early in the morning. You've got the nerves. You've got these cameras, the lights.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget things, right?
Yeah, I did.
They're asking you questions.
Yeah, and I went home that day and I'm like...
It's easy to forget that you've got two whole chickens at your legs.
It was crazy, but it would have sent a great message across the line. Anyway.
Absolutely. But what was the thing how did you come up with the chicken idea in the first place?
It's probably through Adrian. He used to help me. He was one of my truck driver mates' son. He used to help me with the website, his graphic design and all that. He had all these great ideas, a top bloke, and I'm still mates with him today. And we come up with it. Yeah, we needed some sort of visual thing to get their attention because it was sort of dying down a bit. So we just used to have brainstorm meetings all the time and go through the website, update it, and we come up with that idea. It was great.
Well, I mean...
So I really feel chickens help me ban solariums in New South Wales.
PR agencies get paid a lot of money to come up with ideas that are half as good as that, mate.
Yeah, it was greid. And we did everything on our own bat. We used to... Adrian, he had his own, because he had his own company. If I'd go and meet with the health minister in WA, we'd do a little press release together, and then he'd send it from his business to all the network, the media in WA. So I'll be getting off the morning flight in WA to go and visit the health minister. I'd go and visit him, and then I'd have media calling me to say, how did the meeting go? And then I'd be doing interviews on the way to the airport, or sometimes I'd do interviews and then they'd get the news crew to drop me off back at the airport, and I'd get on the plane, come back to Sydney. But then we'd always try and get one radio interview and one TV interview wherever we went around Australia visiting, whether it was I visited Tony Abbott in Sydney. We'd do the same thing, and we'd cold call, like send a press release to 2GB, then I'd call them up and go, oh, look, we just did a rally in Sydney at Bondi with the Greens. Do you want any news grabs?
Yeah.
And then I'd give them some news grabs about the day, and then I'd be on the news every hour that afternoon. Anti-salarium campaigner Jay Allen was out at Bondi today. But the reason behind that, and I learnt that through the Greens with Lee Rhiannon and all them, to keep it on the radar of the politicians. And I'd always talk nice about the politicians whenever I'd talk on radio or to the media, because they love hearing themselves in the media, and they're trying to do their best as politicians. So you always talk nice about the politicians and and work with them, not against them. Don't ever work against a politician. Yeah, because you won't get your own way.
Did you feel any kind of burden of responsibility when suddenly you're just this massive spokesperson for this campaign?
Yeah, I did. I sort of see in between all that, I'd have scans and blood tests as well, and then I'd have my mates that were dying as well. So I just feel all right. And a lot of those would go, make sure you ban sunbeds, Jay, on their deathbed. I visit them and they have tumours around them and stuff. And I'd always have them in the back of the mind. I've got to keep going and do it for them. And there was also a young lady called by the name of Claire Oliver. She was an Asian lady, and she sadly passed away in September 2007, just before I was diagnosed. And she used her dying days to try and ban solariums as well. So I feel like that she started the campaign, and then I ended it for her.
You picked up the torch,
yeah. And that was political as well. You'd go to organisations where at the start of my campaign to say, look, I want to ban solariums, can you back me? And they'd be like, oh, no, we don't want to ban them, and we're all for regulations. And then at the end, when it was getting media attention and it looks like they're going to ban them, these organisations would come back on board and go, oh, yeah, we want to ban them now. Can you come and do the press conference at our office so we can get all our brand in the lights?
Now you're here now that it's popular, right?
Yeah, and I just learned so much.
There must be a lot of that.
There's so much of it. Yeah. There's so many people. I've had meetings with people over the years that they come and meet with you and they pick your brain and they want your contacts, but they just go and run off and it's all for them. Yeah. It's all about them, and I've just sort of learned my lesson through that. And it's all part of life, learning. Some people are in it for themselves. Others are in it to help, actually genuinely want to help you and help your cause. And I've learned that. So now, people get approached to go and meet with people, and we sort of just, I do my research and find out who they are. But I genuinely, usually meet with everyone, but I can sort of work them out in 5 minutes whether they're just using me or better for their own benefit, But I genuinely want to help everyone anyway. But
how hard is it to get connected to all these people, all these families, and then you get to know their story and you spend time with them, and then not too long after they're passing away?
Oh, it's tough. It's so tough. I don't know how I cope, but I just do.
It seems like an incredible toll. Take on your soul.
Yeah, it is. I've got a psychologist I see every 6 months. I'm going to go and see her next week, actually. But I've had the same psychologist since 2008. But that's why I do a lot of walking and running. I lost my good friend, Haley.
Just to keep your head clear? Or
100%. Keep my head clear. And I feel so good when I exercise. I feel I can't meditate. I can't switch off my brain to meditate. And I feel that when I walk or run, that's my meditation. And I feel so much better and alive, and just my brain just clicks. All right, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Just keep going.
Because other than doctors who don't have that kind of typically that same personal connection as you get touched by death more than most people ever will.
Yeah, it's tough. I had a good mate like Anthony Simmons. I met him in 17. The end of 17, he had a melanoma on his foot. We were good mates, top mates. And last couple of years, we got really close. When I went for my treatment, he was there driving me to my appointments and stuff. Yeah. And we'd have good chats. He was in the Army Reserves for for a long time. He was a good guy. He loved the camaraderie. He loved the teamship. I took our ambassador, Braith and Astor, NRL legend, to visit him in hospital. Braith gave him a jersey. He loved it. I knew just good things like that. And I got a call off because he had a melanoma on his sole of his foot, and they never picked it up till it was late. He went and got it checked, and they said, no, we don't know what it is. It's a plantar's wart. it's another story I was trying to say earlier. If you're genuinely concerned about something, but Simo didn't know. He didn't know anything about skin cancer, so he's trusting these professionals.
Of course, like most people would, right?
100%. And anyway, so the melanoma ended up going to his lungs, and he beat that, and then he got a tumor in his pelvis, and it got that big that it was going into his spine. So he had this big operation where if he doesn't have the operation to remove this big tumor in his pelvis, he's going to die, right? So he had the operation. They removed the tumor out of his pelvis and replaced the lower of his spine with a titanium one. And things were going really well. He was clear of melanoma. There was no melanoma in his body. And but the thing was, he was a bit paralyzed on the left side of his body. So he might have been in a wheelchair, right, for the rest of his life. But he was prepared to cope with that because he was melanoma free and was going to be alive. He's got his beautiful wife, Donna, his daughters, Chantel and Bronte. His big family network, Sister Lee, and, all these great people surrounding him. He was ready to go, and he's going to come in our office and volunteer his time because he wanted to retire out of the army and that and give back to, being passionate because he's passionate about the charity, and he knew that we just started the foundation. And so we're looking forward to that. And then I get this call one day, and this was a week after I visited him in hospital. He even said, "Oh, bro, I'm going to get out of hospital soon." I said, "Sweet." Things are looking good for him. And his brother-in-law Jason called me and said, "Look," one afternoon he said, "Look, things are not good. Simo's, I think he's going to die tonight." I went, "What?" I started crying, bawling my eyes out because he was going to get out. He was going to be better, And with the pelvic, what happened? An infection got hold of him, and because of I don't know too much about it, but what I do know is that titanium in his lower spine, the infection couldn't work through that, and that's where the infection was and all that. So it just and they put him in intensive care, and we went and seen him that afternoon with my mate James, and we said goodbye to him. And he died the next morning, mate. I just got to keep going for these guys. I mean, far out. That was really sad, and it is sad. I don't know how I cope, but I do.
Yeah,
got to keep going for them. And their family came on board, and we walked. We had a big walk from Gerringong to Kiama. We called it Simo's Mission Melanoma Walk, and we'll do that every year now for Simo and his family. And what I get out of that is they don't have his family don't have Simo anymore, but they got this walk. Cool. Got this support. They can all walk for Simo, And to me, if I died, I'd want my kids to have something like that as well. So that's why I do it. I do what I would like, and I know what Simo would like, and I know that he would love that.
It must bring them such joy as a way to remember him.
Yeah, exactly. And we had another walk for Ash, Mission Melanoma Walk, coming into the city for Dave Kelly, our board member, and we did it. And we'll do it for a few other people as well next year. But generally the whole walk is about everyone that's passed away and all their families and everyone come and walk. So every day we walk, it's all for all those that have been affected.
It must be, that balancing act for you between, it's so hard to be involved with such loss all the time, but also that's the fuel to the fire, right?
It is.
That gives you the purpose.
It is, mate. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Fuel to the fire. You got to keep going because I feel that if we're not doing it, there's a lot of things out there that don't happen, and that's why we started the charity because we can do it our way now, and make sure it happens, and also make sure every cent is going where it's supposed to go because sadly there is a lot of
do you find that mismanagement?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I won't go into detail, but it does happen. People think it's going somewhere and it's not. And Australian Skin Cancer Foundation, it's going exactly where we say it's going.
That must piss you off.
It does piss me off, yeah. And that's why we got the charity. We've got it because there's a lot of red tape out there and political bullshit. People just want to get their name in lights and their brand in lights, and it's not all about that. There's a lot of doctors that are on TV all the time and speaking. It's not about that. It's about their egos and all that. Like it's about the people that have been affected. That's what it's about. It's not about them.
Is there enough transparency in charities about where the money goes, or does that need?
There is. Yeah. There is. But there's, you read in the paper sometimes, about charities not doing the right thing and stuff like that. It happens, But if you're in it for the right, I genuinely believe if you're in you do things for the right reasons, it'll always work out.
Yeah.
So
it must feel better for you to be running your own thing now. Right?
Yeah, 100%. It's so much easier. I don't have any restrictions around social media.
Right, you can post and not have to worry if you're going to get your ear chewed off.
Yeah, exactly. And I found as well that a lot of people have followed me across to the charity,
Yep.
because they genuinely believe in what I'm about, and
That's cool.
I've possibly supported their family as well down the years, over the years, and yeah, we just keep going and try and get that cure, and keep doing the walks and keep encouraging people to get skin checks and to not tan. There's a thing we want to do with the charity as well is make skin checks more affordable as well.
Are they expensive at the moment?
They are quite expensive. Yeah, sometimes you might get charged $300 to go have a skin check.
Yeah. For a lot of people, that's just if you're 50-50 about something, you wouldn't do it.
No, you wouldn't.
If you,
And you got your own family, your whole family as well. So you add that up for 4 or 5 people in a family, they just can't do it. And we get messages all the time. People that can't afford to get their family done, they can go, but what about their family? So we're working with the politicians at the moment, trying to make skin checks. Maybe covered bulk billing.
Yep.
I mean, there is certain places that do bulk bill,
yeah.
but a lot of the dermatologists sort of just charge their own fee. So we're going to try and work with the dermatologists as well, and the government, and try and come up with a plan where it's more affordable for all Australians.
That's cool.
Yeah. So got to keep going.
Sounds like you're doing a lot of important work.
Yeah, we've got to keep going, mate. Yeah, it's changed my life, and life's precious. And got this charity now, got good people on it, and it's got to try and find a cure. Yeah.
Do you have time to have fun? What do you get up to in your spare time? Do you have any?
Yeah, I do. I spend time with my family, and might go to the pub every now and then, have a beer with some old schoolmates, or. But I've sort of, a lot of it's melanoma, and live my life now. It's changed my life, and feel that I was playing, played footy all my life and touched footy and stuff, but sort of
Rugby league.
Yeah, rugby league. Yeah, grew up with rugby league, and I just I guess got to keep going. Do it. This is what my life purpose is, but when I'm with my family, I switch. Turn my phone off, and just switch off.
Just try and separate the two worlds a bit.
Yeah, I sort of didn't do that, and then when I got diagnosed last year, I didn't do that prior to the diagnosis last year, and when I got diagnosed, it's like you got to prioritize and manage. How you're going to live your life now. You don't want to be. If I'd be at a restaurant, I'd pick up the phone, or I knew that I'd have to get it because I was worried it'd be a patient sitting at home on Google and needed support straight away. So now I just put the phone away and I might have half an hour each night to have a look at it, or on the weekend or something like that. If I'm out with a family, that's it. I just put it away and prioritize.
Yeah, I mean, you need to look after yourself as well as your family life as being important parts of the puzzle as well, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's all you got in life. You got your family and people that care and love about you. So you got to work out what you want in life and go for it and give it a crack.
So what's your charity called?
So it's called the Australian Skin Cancer Foundation.
Australian Skin Cancer Foundation.
Yeah. And we've got this logo. We love it. It's a great logo. So the hands are in the map of Australia for support.
Yep.
And
that's cool.
You got the hot country,
Yeah.
Because a lot of charities, they have the logo and it's got no meaning to what they're about. So I've always wanted, and I heard Kyle Sandilands did a great interview many years ago, and he said, look, it's a no-brainer. If you're going to do something, a business or whatever, have what it's about in the logo. He goes, how smart is that? It's not rocket science. And it's always been in the back of my mind if I ever did something. So that was how the logo came up. It's like, well, people, when you look at that, what do you think?
I think it's people connecting with each other, touching hands and supporting each other.
Yeah. And then what about the colour?
The colour, I mean, it says sunburned country.
Yeah.
Right?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we wanted. And people see that. And everyone always gives us feedback like, great logo. I love your logo. Yeah. So it's good. We're just on a mission. You want to support us at AustralianSkinCancerFoundation.org. We'd love your support. Any corporates out there that want to get on board, get on board and help us. We've got some great sponsors already. Ricky Richards, they do, they provide the material for sunshades.
Yep.
So we're going to try and cover all the playgrounds across Australia for all the schools. And we've got Toyota. They back me all the way. I've got Project Dry Hire. They're good friends of mine down the Illawarra. Hires out cranes and big machinery and stuff like that. They lost their sister-in-law, Corinne, to melanoma in 2012, and they've been great supporters. I supported Corinne, and they support everything I do. So it's a great network of people that are on board the charity, and there's no stopping us. We're just on a mission. So,
well, how many Australians get touched by skin cancer every year?
Oh, mate, there's one person gets diagnosed every 30 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
So it's a lot of people, and sadly, one person dies every 5-6 hours in Australia every day. So it's a lot of families and friends that are affected by this disease, and for it to be a national cancer, melanoma is the highest. We have the highest rate in Australia anywhere in the world. More needs to be done.
Is that right? Because we have such high UV rates?
Yeah, we've got the hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
So we're getting the direct UV under our skin, and that's why we've got the high rate there. People are getting burnt, they're getting skin cancers, and getting melanomas and dying. So, as I said, basal cell carcinomas and squamous cell carcinomas are dangerous as well. They can spread and deform you, and can. I mean, especially your face. Your face is out there every day in the sun. There's so many stories out there. I see it. People might have a mole or something on their skin, on their nose, or somewhere it turns into a melanoma or basal cell or squamous cell, and then have to get a skin graft from somewhere else in their body, and it's attached to their face or something like that. So it doesn't look very good, So look after yourself. Don't use indoor tanning. It's not worth it.
Are there particular professions like tradies that are like obviously far more susceptible because they're obviously in the sun so long?
Yeah, so it's common for blokes to get it on their back, on their face, their back and their neck, their ears, and it's common for women to get on their legs, because they're out sunbaking.
I mean, you can drive through a million places where there's guys working on houses, right? And they're wearing they're not even wearing a shirt.
I know. That's what we're trying to change.
Right.
So if there's any building industries out there that want to get on board, we'll come and educate your employees. We're starting to do that. We did a big one with Sydney Water a few weeks ago. So that's building momentum, and you just got to keep going. Education's a key. So, but definitely, if you're out there and you're not looking after yourself, when you brush your teeth in the morning, apply sunblock on areas that are going to be exposed during the day. But just protect yourself. Follow the 5 sun-safe rules, which are, broad brim hat is number 1, protective clothing number 2, sunglasses, shade, and sunblock. Protect yourself. Really important. So don't forget, look after yourself, but also your family as well, your kids, and maybe when get your kids when they brush their teeth in the morning, have a big tube of big bottle of sunblock, and and educate your kids as well.
You got a few of those around the house?
No more. You got any kids?
No.
Yeah. Right.
No. But yes, my dad's just been going through some cancer troubles himself, and so yes, he's very very on the sun-safe messaging at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that, mate.
Well, it touches a lot of us, right?
Yeah, it does. So we just got to. Yeah, I mean, life's, as I said, life's too short. You just got to. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got your life.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we've done a good app. I think there was a lot there to cover.
Yeah. It was a good chat. Thanks for having me on, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. Well, this has been another episode of Shit's Gone Sideways. I've been here with Jay Allen.
Thank you
very much. Cheers.
Shit's Gone Sideways.